2014, the Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanization and Irrigation Development and the United Nations, led by FAO and the World Food Programme, will commemorate the World Food Day in Mutoko District under the theme Family Farming, Feeding the World, Caring for the Earth. To highlight the events of this particular day and its significance, we have Subregional Coordinator for Southern Africa and the country representative for Zimbabwe, the Food and Agriculture Organization, Dr. Chimimba David Phiri. Welcome you to Good Morning Zimbabwe, Dr. Phiri.
Thank you for the invite.
Well, what is the objective of commemorating this event?
Now, this event commemorates the foundation of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, which was created in 1945 on 16th of October. We started celebrating this about 34 years ago, in 1981, with the view to ensure that world hunger is on the global scale and on top of the political agenda.
Mm-hmm. And this year's theme is Family Farming, Feeding the World, Caring for the Earth. How significant is that theme?
Now, it is significant in the sense that family farms they are in the majority of all farms. In fact, 500 million of the 570 million families are actually owned by families. So the majority of all agriculture is within the context of families. Families are also responsible for caring for the children, and therefore they are also responsible for making sure that the families are less undernourished than they would be otherwise.
Okay. And then looking at the whole food situation around the world, what can you say about Africa's position in terms of food provision, food security?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Africa is not doing too well. Globally, we have managed to reduce hunger by about 100 million over the past 10 years. Africa has also reduced the proportion of the hungry people, or the undernourished. What has not happened very well is the rate of stunting. So even in countries where perhaps they have now moved from low-income countries to higher-income countries, we have not made a dent in the level of undernutrition as defined by stunting. In other words, low height for the age of the children.
But what are the main reasons why Africa is lagging behind in terms of food security? What are the main reasons?
I think the main reasons have been the fact that the economic development has been slower in some parts of Africa. I think the other issues that there have been many more conflicts than in other parts of the world, and the effects of climate change have sort of been much more pronounced in Africa, which means that more frequent droughts, more frequent floods, and so on, and sometimes transboundary pests and diseases of both animals as well as plants do affect the sort of yields that farmers do get. And at the end of the day, we have much less food than other parts of the world.
So now, what is the Food and Agriculture Organization and other arms are doing in order to alleviate these problems or address these challenges that Africa is facing or are likely to face in the next few years?
No, the Food and Agriculture Organization, together with its partners, particularly the biggest partner for us is the governments of the world. But then we also have partners like the EU, partners like the World Bank, partners like World Food Programme, partners like DFID, and so on. What we try to do first is to put food security at the top of the political agenda in the countries, to make the leaders understand what the situation is. Because without food security, there is no peace and security. So we try to put that on the top of the agenda. We try to support countries in developing policies that make it possible for farmers to improve agricultural production. We also try to ensure that the marketing part of agriculture is also taken into consideration. So there are many areas in which we try to support governments to make sure that the food insecurity is reduced.
And now, in brief, can you tell us about this event taking place in Mutoko?
Well, the event taking place in Mutoko is the World Food Day celebration for this year. It is on an irrigation scheme at Chitora, irrigation scheme. We are going to have the government of Zimbabwe representatives there. I think the Minister for Agriculture will be there. The World Food Program, FAO representatives will be in attendance, but also the EU will be in attendance, plus other UN agencies will be also participating. We hope also that since the reason for why we are holding this is to make sure that the issue of food security is on top of the agenda, that the media also come en masse.
Well, thank you so much for coming to Good Morning Zimbabwe, Subregional Coordinator for Southern Africa, and he is also the country representative for Zimbabwe at the Food and Agriculture Organization. Dr. Chimimba David Phiri today was talking to us about the 16th of October, whereby the Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanization and Irrigation Development, and also the United Nations, led by the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Program, will be commemorating World Food Day at Mutoko District under the theme Family Farming, Feeding the World and Caring for the Earth. Good Morning Zimbabwe takes a break. We'll return shortly right after this.